Greetings and salutations, guys. I'm here with my thoughts on Daredevil, Born Again, Episode 9. This is the Season 1 finale. And again, like the first episode and Episode 8, it is the third and final of the season that is completely made by the new/second creative team. And I think really shows you what this show will probably be going forward, because it is such a setup episode for a season 2. I think if we didn't know this show was coming back for sure for season 2 right now, it would be incredibly frustrating to leave off like this and think, oh man, I have no idea when we're going to get a continuation. But they're actually filming season 2 right now. So when you see at the end of the credits, Daredevil will return again in season 2, that's a promise they're going to keep. We know that. It sounds like, they want to have it back on early next year, early-ish at least. So that's great. And that makes this finale, I think, I'd already think I would like it, but then there might be that hesitation if I didn't know for sure if it's coming back. But because it is coming back for sure, I thought it was a very exciting, very fulfilling finale that also did a good job of setting up big things for next season. First and foremost, of course, we got big characters coming back. So we got Karen and we got the Punisher. We'd had that one scene with Frank earlier in the season. Again, it felt like, oh, that was a good scene, but come on, we want him back. We want him to actually be, the Punisher. And man, we got that in a big way here. And it was very satisfying. First of all, I think they just do a great job with the interplay between these two characters. And, it's kind of like a buddy cop thing at this point, because it's like, they don't get along, but they do get along, and they have their different methods. It's just that Frank's different methods is, murder, and Matt's is non-murder. But, yeah, when they were having their little sarcastic jokes and back and forth about, was the shave and a haircut for me? And Frank's like, yeah, it's for you. Very funny, very good stuff that Charlie Cox and John Bernthal, I think, just deliver really well. They have really good chemistry together. And, this is the first time we're seeing Daredevil and Punisher truly team up in this way. At the end of Daredevil season 2, he showed up, Frank, up on a higher building and helped shoot some hand ninjas to help Matt from afar. And then they had their one scene together, out of costume. But here we really get Daredevil, Punisher, both in costume, both teaming up, and it was great. And, of course, you've got that whole element of Daredevil trying to stop Punisher from actually killing people, which he is not going to succeed in. Frank is going to Frank, Punisher is going to punish, and it was sufficiently brutal, and if you have been waiting for, Punisher Unleashed to come back, here he was. This was a big, brutal fight. I mean, it was brutal on all fronts. Daredevil's fighting brutal because that's what he does. He just doesn't cross that line that Frank is constantly crossing. But yeah, I thought it was really exciting. The two of them fighting in Matt's apartment, the chaos of the task force coming in there. And yeah, the fact that we got to see Punisher unleash in this way and against this task force that are all wearing his skull. And that doesn't make him happy, as we already knew. And he lets them know that it doesn't make him happy. So that was great stuff. And then Karen showing up. Oh, I should mention, though, the leap out the window. The leap out the window was so fun. So comic book, the two of them jumping out, explosion behind them, and Matt using his billy club to save them both. That was great. And the building blowing up. That's from the Daredevil Born Again comic book. This was a weird season because they were using the title Born Again, but Daredevil Season 3 on Netflix had already done a loose adaptation of that story. But one thing that didn't happen in Daredevil Season 3, but did happen in the source material, was the apartment blowing up. So it happened here. Matt is going to need a new place to live, presumably, when Season 2 comes back. But yeah, Karen showing up was great. She gets kind of this hero moment, getting out of the car. And just the fact that having her so in play here in the finale, lots of scenes, lots of good material between Karen and Matt, it really did remind you, oh yeah, she was missing. She was a missing element. I admire what they did here, kind of putting a Band-Aid on this season, right? They had this material they shot, they felt things weren't working about it, and they shot new stuff to kind of try to patch together. And I think it worked a lot. It worked better than it had any right to work. And yet, when you see Frank to some degree, but he was never like a regular part of Daredevil, but Karen especially, when she comes back in this finale, it's like, oh yeah, she was missing. This is something the show needed. This feels right. This makes me feel really good about season 2, knowing that, I'm sure she's going to be now around again on a regular basis. Just great to have her here, fully participating and fully helping Matt as Daredevil, even in a way she didn't get to do much before because, as I mentioned in other reviews, Matt wasn't in the Daredevil costume a lot. In fact, he revealed to Karen he was Daredevil at the end of season 2, right as he stopped wearing that costume very much again through Defenders and season 3 of his show. So yeah, this was just, again, we got to see Punisher and Daredevil work together in a way we hadn't seen in live action on these shows before. We got to see Karen kind of help Matt as Daredevil in a way she's never had to fully do. And yeah, it felt really satisfying. It just felt like, yeah, that these actors really work together, but so do the characters. So really enjoyed that. Then with the new supporting characters, and that's been a problem, I think, of the show, is that they've been kind of weak and kind of surface. I felt like I felt about BB last week, where suddenly she was more interesting. The reveal that, okay, she knew that Fisk had killed her uncle, and that's really been her mission, the revenge mission. I thought they made some decisions here with some of the other supporting characters that help going forward. I don't think Heather and Matt have ever sort of worked or had on-screen chemistry, and it was very frustrating that she just doesn't believe anything he says about Fisk. So if they're gonna heel turn her, fine. Like I don't really think the character's been a great character, but if now she's just gonna be sort of his ex who's now by Fisk's side, even though I don't know if I'll ever buy into like we had something special if that's the route they go, but maybe they won't. Okay, fine. Now she has sort of a new role, a literal new role, because what was she, the commissioner on mental health or something like that? So they have something new for her. Sheila, I thought, was more interesting because I think Sheila was a better character through the season. Not that there was a lot to her, but there was enough. The idea that she was sort of a career politician or a career politician, assistant to a politician who had to decide how to navigate the fact that she was working for Wilson Fisk, and she's working for a very dangerous person here, and what was she going to do? So she also kind of takes this turn for the dark side because she sells out Gallo. We'll talk about what happened to Gallo in a moment. I thought that was kind of more motivated than what happened with Heather, because I kind of felt we saw Sheila kind of watching the whole season, seeing how Fisk operates, trying to kind of keep her position safe, even as she's seeing Blake rise, and maybe that's a danger to her. So she decides to kind of go all in. If she is going to be with this guy who clearly has no qualms about crossing any line, of, Fisk is telling them no body cams and just to do everything awful, that without anyone stopping him. Well, it makes sense that maybe she would decide, I need to play this as safe as I can, which is I'm just going to go all in on Wilson Fisk. Let's talk about Gallo, though, because holy crap. That scene when Fisk killed him, that was insane. That was a death out of like a Saw movie or like a Terrifier movie. That was like Art the Clown when he tears Gallo apart. Because I thought, okay, he's going to like sort of crush his skull in, but he tears him apart like he's, peeling an orange. It was very effective. It really did go pretty damn far, though, in a way that I was still pretty shocked about, even on a show that's obviously trying to be like, hey, we're adult, we can go pretty far. The one thing that made me laugh after the fact was, yes, okay, he does this in front of a bunch of people who are going to be horrified and scared, and this is going to keep people in line. This happens in other movies too, but especially our TV shows. If something like that happened in front of you, I just feel that there's a pretty big group of people there. Some people would be like screaming or puking. They're all kind of just like, oh no. You just saw a dude's face get torn apart. I think some people might have a bigger reaction. I don't know. I would. I think I had a pretty big reaction. I'd be yelling out some stuff if that happened. But yeah, lots of fun stuff here. An interesting decision, and I wonder if this will bug some people, to not have a action climax, right? There's sort of a moment of truth for Matt where he wants to go in and fight everyone, but he is one man who is hurt. He was shot last week, and Karen tells him, you got to be smarter than this, and he does. He doesn't go in and fight. I think, for me, I was fine with that because we got a huge fight scene earlier with Daredevil and Punisher fighting the task force, so I felt like we got it there. So yeah, the finale doesn't end with that, but it's not like you can say, oh, there's no action in the finale. So I liked seeing the hero decide, okay, it's one thing to go against, the odds are against me, but this is too much, because he's going to come back with a better plan for the future. So I thought that totally worked. Fisk declaring martial law, I mean, it's very compelling. It's very exciting. This is the first time, though, that I really feel like, how are they going to deal with this in the greater MCU? New York City, New York is martial law has been declared. That feels like a pretty damn big deal. And yes, Spider-Man, first and foremost, how does this affect him? But we're not going to see Spider-Man probably. I mean, who knows? He could pop up somewhere, like, say, in Avengers Doomsday. But we don't know for sure we're seeing him until summer 2026 in his own movie. And for all we know, Daredevil Season 2, Born Again Season 2 will air before that. But it kind of still feels like you want to see how this is affecting him, right? I think, and we all want to see Wilson Fisk and Spider-Man interact anyway. But even if they didn't meet, this is a big deal in Spider-Man City that this is happening. But beyond Spider-Man, just other heroes, other characters, people in government. I wonder if there will be a throwaway line in Thunderbolts about this, about, the situation in New York. It just feels like, this is something that they really should make sure is acknowledged at least. And I hope it is in some way. Again, by the time Avengers Doomsday comes out, who knows? I mean, reality as we know it might be all multiversed and mixed up. But for now, it feels like they should talk about it. I forgot almost to mention the flashback that opened the episode with Vanessa and Bullseye and kind of, showing you when she hired him. I was so glad that they acknowledged, finally, Fisk not being in jail. Because that's how Daredevil Season 3 ended, is Matt got him. He was going back to jail. And this has never been mentioned in Hawkeye, in Echo. And I know this was when they were making those shows, they were still doing that loosey-goosey, maybe the continuity from the old shows exists, maybe it doesn't, so they weren't going to directly acknowledge that. And I think when they started Daredevil Born Again, because this was before, the old version, they probably thought they would never acknowledge it. And they hadn't until now. But it was really bugging me. It was like, the last time we saw this dude, he was being sent to prison. It was a big deal. So we don't get like a huge explanation, and it kind of is a hand wave explanation, which is Vanessa saying, the corruption scandal, that's why he was acquitted, which is weird because the corruption scandal was Fisk was the one who was behind it. He is the one who corrupted them all these FBI agents in season 3. But I'll let that go just because I'm glad they mentioned it. They acknowledged it. And they don't need to go further in depth to it. I just wanted the acknowledgement, guys, and I got it. So, and they mentioned Nadeem, so it was like a little bit of specifics from season 3. Again, which would not have happened if not for this retooling. I don't think any of that. I mean, Bullseye wouldn't be in the show, first of all, and they certainly weren't going to mention Ray Nadeem and stuff from season 3 if this hadn't happened. So, very glad just to get, that stuff, that it counts, that it matters, and that at least we know that they remembered that Wilson Fisk had gone to jail for the second time before he came back in all these other MCU shows. So I thought, just a lot of good stuff here. Really kind of going all in. I wondered if the task force, I thought maybe they'd be taken down a peg, and they were, because Punisher killed a bunch of them. But at the same time, they're still there. And it was very dark, the fact that they are running around the city, the blackout used as kind of the excuse. And when they kind of kill that kid, that teenager who, he's looting, but then they just kill him in cold blood and frame him as a vigilante. They're really going all in. I mean, that Fisk is untouchable, right? He can't be stopped, and Matt has to kind of back off at this moment. But of course, he's not going to permanently. And it's very cool and very fun to see him at the end, sort of forming this resistance. They have to deal with the defenders of it all, right? And I bet I am one of many people who thought when I saw a woman in silhouette sitting at that bar, when he walked out into the bar, thought it was going to be Jessica Jones. And it's not. It's Angie Kim, who, we'd seen a few times through the season. But where is Jessica? And where is Luke? And I guess where's Danny? But, Colleen. Where's Colleen? They kind of have to deal with that next season, right? More so than Spider-Man. We want to see Spider-Man because we love Spider-Man and he's an important Marvel character. But for Matt, it's like he has to reach out to the other defenders and who would have to want to help him. I would be shocked if we don't get at least one of them in season 2. But for now, it's, Cherry, and it is Kim, and Karen, and, a handful of other people that are, trying to help here. But yeah, it's a fun start, and we'll see where it goes next season. Interesting montage there at the end, kind of showing all the characters. reminding me that Kirsten, Matt's law partner, still really didn't have anything interesting. I talked about how a lot of the supporting characters got some nice little moments in the final 2 episodes to make them more interesting. Not for Kirsten next, and not for Kirsten so far. But I'm hoping next season that they can remedy that. But interesting that when we went to Bullseye, we did see him one more time besides the flashback. He was looking sort of sorrowful, and I just thought that was an interesting way to leave that character, who has some elements of tragedy in his backstory, but by and large, I mean, he is a psycho killer. He didn't just take a job to kill Foggy. He killed all those other people. He just doesn't even think about it. He just kills people, without a second thought, without a hesitation. Yet we left him on this note that seemed like that there was something else going on inside for him. And when you couple that with the way we open the episode with this flashback where he is in kind of a sorrowful state, I wonder where we're going to go in season 2 with that character. That is interesting. I don't want to see the redemption of Bullseye, but maybe there can be a little back and forth there. Maybe there can be a push and pull. Though I think ultimately he's better suited as a villain. I have a little bit of a quibble about the fact that they ended on that mid-credit scene of Frank breaking out, fooling a very, very gullible guard. I just didn't think we needed that scene. Look, in season 2, obviously Frank was going to get out. But I thought it was more interesting to leave the season on Fisk having all these prisoners. I don't know why he's keeping them prisoner versus killing them. He's got Jack, he's got Swordsman in there, he's got Punisher, he's got some other people. And obviously these are people that he sees as obstacles for one reason or another. But what is his goal? Why is he just keeping them versus killing them? What is the long-term plan for all of them? But I would have rather seen Frank still locked up and had something else for the mid-credit scene. Honestly, maybe Jessica Jones, if they'd been able to do that or something like that, versus what we got. It was fine. I just, I knew Frank was going to get out. Let's wait till season 2 for that. But that's, just a quibble over a finale that overall I thought was very good, very satisfying. And like I said, these last 2 episodes, this whole show has been an interesting situation with the overhaul and the new creative team and how they had to, navigate it all. But now we really see, okay, this is what we're going to do. And Frank is going to be in play at least at the start of the next season. I don't know if he'll be around the whole season. I have a feeling Karen's around the whole season, which is great. And we're going to have a new normal here, I think. And we're going to really see what is this situation, what is the dynamic with these characters. And we've got, martial law, and really exciting as far as what that means for Daredevil, and lots of questions for what it does for the MCU at large. And curious about that going forward. So very excited for what comes next. Glad we sort of got through what I thought was still a really good season with all the trickiness of it. So what did you guys think of the finale? What did you guys think of what it set up for season 2? And how much were you annoyed that none of the defenders were there in the bar? Or were you fine with that? Let me know in the comments. And if you can like and if you can subscribe, that'd be great. I'll be back with talking about other things and other stuff before Born Again comes back next year. Thanks, guys. Take care.